Hey, it's your book count here coming at you with another book review. If you like what you see here, I hope you'll subscribe because we're always coming out with reviews of books that we want to howl about, so to speak, because we're the book hounds. Anyway, today we're going to talk about a book called A Noise Downstairs by Linwood Barclay. Now, if you don't know Linwood Barclay, he is a very successful author, and the books that I've read of his are all kind of in the same milieu. He doesn't write a series of books. It's not like he's got like a detective who comes up in book after book, but his books are about the same general set of people. Each book is new, which is interesting. It's a challenge to come up with a completely new psychological thriller every time without relying on, familiar characters. But in a way, his characters are familiar. He writes very knowledgeably and very skillfully about a certain slice of American life, which is this kind of Connecticut, Westchester County, upstate New York, middle to wealthier class of people in the suburbs, and the realities of their lives, their working lives, their relationships, divorces, custody battles. He knows this territory very well. And one of the reasons I can say that is I'm from that area too. I grew up in Westchester County, so I kind of recognize the scene. I mean, it's funny, this book is set in a city called Milford, Connecticut, which is a suburb of New Haven, which I've driven through probably 1,000 times. Anyway, this book, like a lot of Linwood Barclay books, starts with sort of a normal person getting pushed into a very peculiar situation. In this case, we meet a college professor named Paul Davis. He's a middle-aged guy. He's divorced. His wife has custody of the child and his son, and it's got all that sort of normal life tensions going on. But his life gets really weird really fast one night when he sees a colleague of his, a friend, in fact, his mentor from the university, an older professor named Kenneth, driving erratically at night. And he starts following Kenneth, thinking that he has a health problem that's going to crash his car. But he follows this guy, and it starts to get very suspicious. He sees Kenneth stop and throws something big into a dumpster, gets back in his car. He follows him further down the road, and all of a sudden Kenneth stops and he opens the back of it's like a wagon. He's got two dead bodies in there, and Paul Davis stops, and at first it's like, is everything okay? And then he realizes, oh my God, my friend has killed two people. But before he can do anything, Kenneth takes a shovel and smacks him in the head, and everything goes black. So cut to, as they say in the movies, it's 8 months later, and Paul is recovering from a major brain injury. He was hit in the head with a shovel, hard. He had a concussion, some kind of brain damage. He's recovering. He's still very shaky. He hasn't worked in 8 months. Kenneth, meanwhile, has gone to prison for a double homicide. And things are just very not great for Paul. His wife, whose name is Charlotte, is trying to do her best, really wants Paul to get better, but it's not easy for her. She's dealing with a man who can't remember anything. He gets dizzy. It's like he thinks he's going crazy half the time. She's constantly saying, like, you said you're going to pick up the dry cleaning. Where is it? And he's like, you never told me that. Yes, I did. He thinks he's going crazy. Maybe he doesn't. He thinks, am I ever going to get better? And you wonder, is he ever going to get better? What's going on here? So Charlotte has an idea that maybe it would help if Paul could kind of try and not solve the crime because it's been solved, but sort of get to the bottom of what happened with his friend Kenneth. That would sort of purge him of the anxiety and the flashbacks that he feels from this trauma. I mean, it was a physical trauma and it was a psychological trauma. So to help him do that, she buys him an antique typewriter because, backstory quick, the murder victims were found with these typewritten notes on them. So she thinks maybe it's like sort of shock therapy. Like, let's write the story of these victims, research the story of these victims, write their story with the same kind of typewriter that they used to write these notes before they died. So Paul starts to do this, and then something really weird starts to happen where late at night when he's sleeping, he's woken up by the sound of this typewriter typing, like tap, 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 tap. That's why the book is called A Noise Downstairs. Get it? It's a noise downstairs. He runs downstairs, there's nobody there. Goes back upstairs, falls asleep, starts to hear this typing sound, type, 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 runs back downstairs, wakes up his wife. Honey, someone's in the house. Somebody's typing notes on this typewriter. And then there's actually paper in the typewriter, like with a note on it. He's like, maybe is it a ghost? Now he thinks he's really going crazy. And so I'm not going to tell you more of the story because that would be cheating, right? But this is the entry point into a really bizarre story where Paul thinks he's going crazy, and he has a therapist named Anna who he confides in a lot. And they're trying to solve this mystery. What is going on here? Is someone breaking into the house? Is he hallucinating? Is it a ghost? And there's a really big plot afoot, which if you're paying attention, you'll figure out in the middle of the book. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. Anyway, he's a great thriller writer. He understands psychological thrillers very well. So if you like psychological thrillers set in the suburbs, check it out.